you're working on splits is actually to do a frog split or with a bent knee split. This is actually a viewer question, so thanks for asking me, and I try to get to all the viewer questions, so eventually they'll end up in a video, so stay tuned if you did submit a question or a request for specific posture. Now, if you're gonna do this, you need to make sure that you can bend your knees completely, so a great way to test that is to check out child's pose. So you wanna just sit back like this. If you start to feel pain, pressure in the knees, then this frog split version is not for you. But if you can bend easy forward, in a child's pose, that's a perfect test. And actually it's the perfect place to start for this too. So bending forward in child's pose, and the full child's pose actually has the knees together, then we're going to move into that frog split. So we open the knees, all right? Then you wanna open the knees as much as you can, and it's kind of important the position of the feet, right? The toes, the big toes have to be touching. So if the big toes aren't touching, if they start to move apart, then you start to move out of the posture. So the big toes have to remain touching, okay? So you start off in child's pose, and then pressing the big toes together, you open the feet and you open the knees as much as you can. And then you just sink down, and you sink down into your pelvis, and you try to get as low as you can. First, put your chest on the floor, then let the hip joints open, and you wanna be feeling it like right here, okay? Press into the elbows and you just hang out here. You could even, you know, just chill, but what you wanna avoid is that the pelvis pops up. You want it to stay down in the ground. All right, so then you hold for a while until you start to feel everything open, and then you see if you can take it wider, and you keep opening wider and wider and wider, and keep pressing back so you really, really open. Now, after you stay for a while, and how long do you want to stay? I'd recommend that you stay there for minimum 20 breaths, but it could be like up to a minute, but you don't want to stress your knees too much, because this involves a full flexion of the knees. You want to relax. If you start to feel pressure in the knees, just pop right out, okay? Then, if it's possible, you slide forward, and then you can let the pelvis tip into the ground, and you want to keep the toes touching when you do. And in this one, you start to use a little extension of the spine, so you're careful to suck in the belly. And now, if possible, you reach the heels into each other as you're pressing your pelvis into the ground, and you can lift your feet off of the ground. And again, it's as relaxed as possible, so you could really just be resting. You rest your hands on your chin if that's comfortable. If it's not comfortable, hands straight out and head on the floor. But if you can, rest your hands on your chin, then you'll really be lifting the spine all the way up out of the pelvis. And the longer you stay, the more, if you can find your iliac crest, those front bones of the pelvis, if you can press them into the ground, that's gonna help lift your feet. Again, if you feel pressure on the knee, you wanna come out. Now, how do you come out, right? You stay here for a while. This is a really good stretch to open your body for Baddha Konasana, to open your hips for a full straddle. Then to come out, you wanna press back, roll back, and all the way through, come all the way up into a child's pose. So that's a really easy way to relax into the hip joints and work on a nice frog split.